If you'd like to be featured on Newark TV, why not drop us a line on info@newark-tv.co.uk. Oh, and don't forget, hit the subscribe button. Today on Newark TV, we asked the question, could you unplug your child? That's the question. Well, it's all to do with a new play written by Robbie Taylor called Unplugged. It's a dark but funny satire about the death of teenagers where cutting the cord is a matter of economy.
My name is Charlotte Greenlee, and the character I'm playing for this play is Carol, Andy's wife, not husband.
So tell us about Carol.
Carol is, I suppose she's a bit of like a ditzy housewife. She likes playing bingo, online games. She's a bit of a tired mom. I think she's a bit sick of taking care of her kids. She's not stupid, but she comes across as like she doesn't really know what's going on a lot of the time.
Why do you think she does that?
I think she's trying to block out the fact that she's got a lot of like stress about the fact that she doesn't get on with the kids and how she feels a bit unloved by them, and she's sort of channeling all her energy into online games and bingo and things like that. That's where she gets all the thrill and her excitement from.
Not the kids.
Not the kids, no.
Can you relate to that?
No, I don't have kids. I don't have kids, but I can understand. I guess, I remember being a teenager and being a bit like, oh, whatever, mom. Oh, I don't care. So yeah, I think I can understand people. I can understand when people have kids that get to teenagers and they just want to go and live their own life, and they're not ready yet. That it can get a bit frustrating.
Why did you take this role on?
So I started acting. Pre-COVID, maybe 4 years ago. I did a couple of things for a friend, and one of the things I did didn't go as planned, but I got some really, really good compliments from Steve and Robbie saying that they were really impressed. So when Robbie wrote the play, he contacted me and said, I think I'd like you to audition for the play. And I said, oh yeah, okay, sure, whatever, what's it about? And then he described it to me.
What did he say?
He said, it's a dark comedy about killing your kids, or maybe it's about yogurt. And I said, okay, right, I'm in. That sounds hilarious. I'd definitely come around for a cup of tea and you can explain it to me. So yeah, I went round to his and he explained it, and then I auditioned and they were really happy with how I took on. They gave me a few pointers to start with, what they expected Carol to be, how they expected her to be, and I said, yeah, sure, I'll give it a go, and then they really liked it, so yeah.
So what did they actually say to you about Carol then?
Carol, to start with, she's evolved quite a lot since the first, I think.
In what way? How?
So I think originally she was quite stupid, a bit dumb, a bit like, only cares about the bingo and doesn't really have a lot of depth to her. But actually after a while we realised that she's kind of mirroring a younger version of Cheryl, the other female character in the play, where she's just got to the point in her life where she's lost her ambition. Kids don't, she's been a housewife and her kids don't love her. She's now got to that point where she's feeling a bit like, oh, well, they're growing up, they don't love me, I don't really know where to go in my life. And actually she is quite intelligent, she just doesn't have an outlet really to use it. But that's all developed over time, because I think start with, she was a bit, and then we've kind of changed some of the lines a little bit and adapted it a bit, and she is quite intelligent, but she just kind of doesn't realise that until she's killed her kids.
Until she's killed the kids?
Yeah.
So is she remorseful?
I think it's really hard, because I think she shows fear in the first scene with her of, I don't know if this is the right thing to do, and she feels a bit like, I don't know, but she's kind of led by her husband. And then in the last scene, she's still really like, oh, don't you miss your children? To Cheryl, the other, do you miss them? Don't you miss them? I'm feeling really lonely. I feel like I miss them. But again, it's hard because she doesn't know what's happened. But Cheryl's basically just had a very emotional breakdown about it. But Cheryl's very much like, no, I don't miss them. It's the best decision I've ever made. So both scenes, Carol's manipulated by someone essentially to kind of come round to the ideas of them. So yeah, it's interesting. She's, interesting character.
So let's get back to reality.
Yes.
In the real world, how does that make you feel? This whole concept of this play.
It's very bizarre. I feel like if you've ever spoken to a parent, they do talk about how kids cost a lot of money. Booked a school holiday and it's cost me X, Y, thousands of pounds these days if they're going abroad. I don't think I know anybody that doesn't like their children that much to do something like this. But I suppose that's the whole point. It's a sort of exaggerated surrealism, the play. But it makes me feel like, I don't know, it's really hard to explain. I don't empathise with any of the characters. Apart from kind of the moments where they seem really vulnerable, like when Carol in the first scene goes, no, this is wrong, and she kind of tries to wriggle out of it, but the husband's like, no, Andy's like, no, this is definitely the right decision, kind of thing. So yeah, it's hard, but I think the thing is, I'm conscious that they're four horrible people, and I think as outside me, Charlotte looks at that and goes, that's just hilarious. So these four horrible people have made this horrible decision, and then I won't spoil the end of the play, but it kind of comes back to haunt them a little bit. So yeah, it's quite funny in that way.
Could you see yourself ever killing your kids?
No. I've got a niece and a nephew, and I think how much of terrors they are sometimes, they make me happy tenfold. So I don't think I could ever do that.
At the moment?
At the moment, yeah. I mean, I don't have any children yet.
At the moment, you know? I mean, Robbie, what do you think about Robbie? Because, I mean, Robbie's mind just doesn't seem to work on our level.
Yeah, no. I've known, so prior to doing acting, well, I still do poetry, but I just don't do much of it out loud anymore. But I used to do poetry at the Jolly Brewer when it used to be an open mic night there. And I started doing that about 6-7 years ago. So I met Robbie there, and I think the first couple of times I listened to his poems, I was like, oh my God, this man. Like, he did one where he said, I'm going to do every poet's he's got these really deep, dark feelings, and every poet's always got a poem about a dead person. It's normally a dead grandma, so I'm going to do a poem called Dead Grandma, and it just is him screaming, Dead Grandma! The end. And I was like, this man, I don't know if he's taking the piss out of himself or whether I just don't understand. And then after getting to know him, I was like, no, his brain just works different, and actually almost every one of his poems makes me laugh out loud. So yeah, I've always known he's a bit different. So when it was Steve that called me, when he called me and said, got this play, blah, 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 and I was like, and then he's like, Robbie wrote it, I was like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
What's your best bits in the play?
Best bits in the play. Ironically, it's not my lines, but, well, yeah, there's lots of good bits in the play that I do, but Steve's got some really, really good lines in the play. The guy who plays Andy has got some really funny lines in the play. And some of the interactions between me and Cheryl in the last scene. Essentially, we're two semi-drunk women getting ready to have a party, and they just, every time me and Heather have tried to make it as if it's real, two women talking about crap that they do before they're getting ready to go on a night out. So that's been really enjoyable. But there's a line, I'm sure that Heather's mentioned this, or you might have asked, she asked this question, but she says, you've got a gazebo, Carol, a fucking gazebo. Do you know who hasn't got a gazebo? Mothers do. And it's just screamed as loudly as she possibly can, and it's just hilarious when you see it.
Next up is Steve, and it seems words have eluded him. Contact the old Nick in Gainsborough on 0743 4540 516, or you could just email enquiries@theoldnick.co.uk.